Hey guys, my name is Vanessa and I'm a real estate broker here in Germany, guiding expats through the real estate purchase, meaning I'm looking with them for a property. I do have properties in my portfolio, guiding them through the whole process, meaning looking at the building, looking at the property, making sure they have a great finance, and also about the purchase contract, so the legal things. And after the buying a property in terms of investment, I also make sure there is a property manager. So they have peace of mind and yeah.
Hey everyone, how are you all? If you're watching me for the first time, my name is Rushikesh and I make videos on university education, working and life in Germany. So beginning of this year, I made a video with Vanessa and the video was about how to invest in real estate in Germany. So she is a real estate expert and I thought I'll make a video with her, inform you all about how you can invest your money, hard-earned money in Germany. And this is going to be a follow-up video. So right now I'm standing in an empty apartment and this is going to be a property with Vanessa shows to her clients. In the previous video, we covered a lot of important topics about how you can invest in Germany in real estate market as a foreigner. So legalities, documents, or what kind of tax benefits that you get afterwards when you invest in real estate, things like that. So make sure you check out that video first. In this video, we are also going to talk about how much you should invest in real estate, what is the optimal investment that you can get, that you can invest, like 2 room 3 room studio apartments, whether this is the right time to invest because looking at the conditions, economic situations in Germany, job losses and stuff like that. So I think these types of topics are also important to help you make a decision or come to a decision, right? So these kind of things we are going to talk in this video. So make sure you subscribe to the channel because that's really important. It gives me a motivation to create more content like this. And make sure you also watch this video till the end because we are going to cover a lot of topics in this and it can help you understand investing in real estate in Germany. So let's begin. We are here to ask you, would it be a good idea to invest in real estate market? And specifically, I'm saying in terms of renting the property. So not for your own use, but for renting it once you buy the property. So is it a good idea to invest in real estate market? Because seeing the current situation, politics, economic situation, there are people who are losing the jobs. And in this situation, does it make sense?
I mean, the big dream is obviously to have your own home, right?
Yeah.
Instead of paying the rent to
Yes.
someone else, you
Yes.
want to pay it to your own. But these are two pair of shoes, I always say. The best thing, especially in a country like Germany, where this country gives you all the tax benefits, makes sense to buy first real estate, to rent it out, to use all these benefits, and then eventually you go for your own home,
Right.
which is bigger, which is more expensive. Because if you go the other way, buy your own home and spend, I don't know, between 500 and a million, it's quite, you're kind of financially restricted for future. So better go for that one. Especially now in Germany, how things are going, if we talk about the German real estate market, is that last years we had a high interest rate time, so people were scared. And also people who wanted to buy were scared, but also people who want to sell, so buyer seller. So obviously the higher the interest rate goes, you have more tax benefits, which is a good point. But now how it will be, at least for the next 6 to 12 months, obviously the government, how they predict is interest rates are slightly also going down right now, which is amazing. Prices might be stable for a certain time, at least what they predict for the next 6 months, but it won't stay forever.
Okay.
So it's automatically interest rates go down, prices will rise. So my personal choice is right now, because this little secret gap to catch it, low interest rate and low prices.
Now talking about the money part, like investing, what would be the optimal investment for a person? So let's say, usually from your clients, from your experience, how do you see that? How much investment one should make? Would it be 300,000, 500, or million? And how much space I can get for that money?
I mean, depending on what city you are investing or buying, you have these rules like A, B, C, D cities. Munich is an A city. It's a huge city. It's more expensive. And if you go for such a city like Munich, Berlin, Köln, and so on, advises more smaller properties like studios like this one, 2 rooms. If you go for a bigger apartment like 3-4 rooms, then it makes sense to do a VG concept, having multiple tenants and paying you between 500 and 800 euros a month, and then also your ROI increases. So that's more bigger ones. The BC areas like close by Augsburg, for example, Leipzig, which is also a very, very growing city, you can get 2, 3, 4 rooms for, 200 to 300,000. But a good gap, depending on what city you want to invest, is between 100 and 350K.
Wow, that's so much. Compare. I mean, if you think about money, it is a huge gap.
It is a gap, but the rents are also different. What is more important? Is it more important to invest? I mean, this is already a grown city. It will grow further, but Leipzig is also growing fast, but you can still get bigger space for less money.
But then my next question now, how to make that decision? Because how should one decide whether to invest in big cities or whether to go in smaller cities, like growing cities or to be grown cities, Stuttgart, Nuremberg, Leipzig, as you mentioned, things like cities like that. So how one should make that decision?
I mean, I have clients all over Germany. Obviously, if you are taking care of that property on your own, it's very important to have the property close to you, maximum 2 hours. If you have a property manager, obviously, I have clients from Hamburg investing in Augsburg, right? So they have a property manager. So that's a decision maker number one. Number two is also look at the options. I would say look at both options. How is it to invest in a bigger city? How much money do I need on down payment? All these things play an important role because you need the additional payment for the bank, right? I mean, to show it to them, and first also to pay the notary and the property transfer tax. So you should look at all these options, I would say, decide. But if you say, oh, I don't really care where it is, I have just 10, 15K, then you have to focus on a city, and it has to also make sense in numbers for a property. So all these factors are super hard to describe, Rushikesh, you know.
How much does this apartment cost? We are in Munich, and definitely it is much more expensive. And comparatively, what can I get in Leipzig or maybe Ingolstadt for that money, for this money?
I mean, that one is around 300K, okay? And then we have a cold rent, a little bit more than 1,000 euros a month. Obviously, there will be also furniture in there, so you're renting out that apartment as a furnished one. Because you have to pay attention to the rental gap. You know, like in Berlin, we have the rental gap. Obviously, you can also not rent here above that border. So there is a trick, obviously, if it's renovated and furnished, you can exceed that rental gap. Obviously, you shouldn't be crazy high. But the good thing about this one where we are right now is that the property was unrenovated. So they renovated it, they put furniture in there, and these renovation costs and the furniture cost will be mentioned in the contract separately so that, for example, if you buy it, you can deduct these costs on your taxes. So at the same time, it lowers your taxes. That's Munich. Now, when we go up with Augsburg, obviously, for such apartment, you can almost get 2-3 rooms, you know. Ingolstadt, same thing, right? But then you have to also see where exactly. I mean, obviously, Augsburg is a university city, so you have to make sure. About Munich is peace of mind, right? Everywhere people look for an apartment. But now, obviously, outskirts of Munich are also super busy, super popular.
Exactly. So a lot of people, what I see from from the others' perspective, like from the renters' perspective, since the rents in Munich are so high, people choose to go to Augsburg or maybe Ingolstadt and live there if they are working remote, so they don't have to pay higher rents in Munich, and then they can get bigger apartments for the same price. And we are going to come to that tax part, but before that, we wanted to make sure that what kind of needs. So I already covered this information in my previous video. I would highly recommend you to check that first because we have talked in detail about those topics. But right now I'm just going to ask you a brief recap of what one need. So as a foreigner, if somebody is watching this video first, and I also don't want to make them go ahead to that video, definitely they'll go later. But the question is, what as a foreigner do I need to invest or get a loan from a bank like that?
Ideally, live here in Germany. I have many requests outside of Germany, but if you want to get a finance, it might be tricky. So That's actually number one, to really live here.
Yeah.
Number two is have a minimum a blue card. Blue card, PR card, or a German citizen. You shouldn't be in probation.
Yeah.
So pass this probation time, and you should have an unlimited contract.
Yeah.
You know, so that's what banks love. And also about your salary, I recommend to have at least 3,000 netto as a salary.
Yeah.
Sometimes I did have clients about smaller properties for 2,500 netto in salary, but 3 is actually a good.
Yeah.
And you should also have the additional payment. So you have to pay the notary 2%, and you need to pay property transfer tax. And property transfer tax is always different depending on the province on the state of Germany. Bavaria is still the lowest property transfer tax, 3.5. Hopefully it stays that way.
Yeah.
But then you also have states like 6%. In terms of bank, it's also important to prepare yourself. So what I say to my clients, you might not buy a property right now, but now you know what you need, you know? So the 3 last pay slips, then you have the tax invoice as a tax income asset at the end of the year, and then you have a pass copy. So have this as a package prepared already, because it's always the same. Unless the bank asks you for something, what I want to see right now, you can always print that, but have that package ready, because what happened now, interest rates are down and they're going to be more buyers.
Yeah.
So you have to be fast on this one, because if you take time to prepare your documents, obviously a real estate agent will be, okay, sorry, you took too long, or the seller is going to be also in a rush. So just a recommendation from my side, be prepared for it.
Let's talk about the benefits, the tax benefit that people get afterwards. So what are the things that one can cover if you invest in real estate? You can get the money back.
We pay so much taxes, right, in this country. I mean,
45-50%.
Yeah, it's crazy, but obviously we have to find ways, a legal way to reduce our taxes. So, and actually one of the only opportunity is real estate. If you have ETF stocks, it's great, but you have to pay capital gain on the, you have to pay taxes on the capital gain that way. So, I mean, I always explain it like this to my clients. Everything what you pay out of your pocket, you can deduct on taxes. So we just talked about the notary costs, property transfer tax, you can put it on taxes. Renovation, furniture costs, and also everything what is related to a property. For example, every property or every building has a house gate, that's a maintenance cost. You can also put your portion, the other portion is the tenant, on taxes.
Right.
Property management costs. If you want to have your property managed, $30-40 a month, same thing, you can also put on taxes.
Right.
And then a big thing is also the depreciation. 2% for such a property, because it's existing one, 2%. There are properties you get more depreciation. New builds also you get more depreciation. So all this kind of sums up, depending on your salary and on the value of the property, for a couple €1,000 a year.
These are really complicated terms, and I would say you can talk to Vanesa also. I think you have a website, and you can check out the website and you can contact her. I think she can guide you pretty well, because it's not possible to cover all those things in single video and explain you all the terms.
That's true.
Now, talking about the depreciation, if somebody invests in real estate, how to make sure that the property retains its value? Meaning, you want to sell it after 10 years. You are not going to pay tax on it, but definitely you want to make sure that you are getting as much money back that you invested. How do you retain, or would it retain by itself?
Yeah, I know. But in Germany, we are missing so many apartments, living space. So that's what I'm saying. You don't necessarily have to get a super expensive new build. I mean, they have great depreciations. There you can get up to 5% depreciation. They're good yields, don't get me wrong. To maintain is also important when you buy. Check the documentations, check the protocols, what was done before, what will be done in the future. Sometimes there are so many repairs coming up, people are scared of it, but then it's actually good. If they change a heating system, good for you. You know, if you sell, let's say you buy it right now, in 6 years to change the heating system because of all these regulations. In 4 years, 10 years, you know, you can sell it tax-free. You sell it, you say, hey, the heating system was just changed. So don't get scared of renovations, but to maintain it is one important thing. If you want to sell it and you have a tenant in there, and this tenant lives there for 10 years, make sure you increasing your rent. What happens is many apartments might be, I wouldn't say cheaper, but with a property value,
Yeah.
but they don't get sold. Why? Because you have a tenant in there, and this tenant is paying the same rent since, I don't know, 10, 15 years. So that's very important.
Yeah.
If you don't have a tenant, obviously to sell it, it would be great to perform basic renovation, you know, really, really simple, and then obviously it brings the property
Right.
value up.
Definitely. Now we talked a lot about technicalities and you know a lot of property tax, property manager, and
Yeah.
things like that. And I'm sure that not every one of my audience would be that let's say known about those facts or those factors. And I'm sure that you know that, and you would be advising people. So I'm gonna come out here and say that if you have more questions or want to know more details of how you invest or whether should you invest, Vanessa here also helps you in that regard, right?
Yes.
And she has a website. You can go to her website. I'll mention this in the video description. You can check it out. If you are interested, you can contact her. She will help you in that matter. And yeah, definitely I'd be happy to help you guys with the content like this. So thank you so much, Vanessa, for
You're
all
very
the
welcome.
information.
Thank you for having me here.
That was really valuable. That's all for now today. I will see you in the next one, but make sure that you subscribe to the channel. That's really important. As I said, it motivates me to create more content for you, and maybe see you in the next one next week. Till then, bye bye.